Hi, everyone. Welcome to Xscapers webinars. My name is Georgianne, and I'm the Marketing Director for Xscapers RV Club. Today, we're going to talk with our Vice President and Xscapers co-founder, Melanie Carr. She's going to share with us some of her family's favorite apps for making their RV journey more enjoyable. And as she's talking, don't forget to submit your questions using the chat sidebar. Following her presentation, we'll take about 10 to 15 minutes to answer your questions, so make sure you stick around. Thanks again, Melanie, for taking time to join us tonight. Will you take a few minutes to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm super excited to share these apps with you today. I'm, like Georgianne said, the Vice President of Xscapers, the co-founder of Xscapers. And I've been RVing since 2011 with my husband. And back then, we only had one kid, and now we have two. We have a little 5-year-old and a 10-month-old. So apps for me are pretty essential while we're on the road because it helps me save time, energy, so I can take care of the kids while we're driving down the highway. And we're just a lot more prepared when we get to our destination. And I have my email address here. If you have any questions, you can always email me. So my goal for today with the travel apps is to kind of share with you some of my favorite ones that I use. There are a few that I haven't personally used before for different reasons, but I've collected data from other people that use them on their journey, and I hope that you learn something today and that we can help you better be prepared on the road. And like I said, one of the main reasons that I choose to use travel apps is to save me time and money and be prepared when I get to my destination. There are a lot of different resources out there, so finding the best ones is always nice to know while you're traveling.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, Melanie. For those of you just joining us, welcome to the webinar. We're going to get started just a second here. Melanie, are you ready to take over?
I am.
Awesome.
All right. So I wanted to start with parking apps because they're probably the most popular ones that we use. And they're just essential for finding a place to park at night. And one of my favorite all-time one is Allstays, and that one it's $9.99, so it's a little bit pricey when you're looking at app prices, but the resource is invaluable to me. My favorite thing about it is that it can be used without internet. So I remember driving through Joshua Tree one night. It was probably about 7 o'clock. We pulled in late, and as soon as we pulled into the gate, we had no internet access. The campground we were planning on staying at was fully booked, and we couldn't fit our Airstream in the one spot that was open. So luckily we had downloaded the maps offline on here, and we were able to continue driving until we got to the next town and knew where we were going. So it saved us a lot of time and stress there. So I definitely recommend this. You can get all the information you need on there, and they also have multiple types of parks. Like you can see the RV parks, private land, state parks, BLM. So it just makes that stress level go down. And another one that we have found helpful is RV Parky. This one is free, so I definitely recommend it for just browsing. If you know you're going to go to a destination, check out what they have. You can use it while you're going down the road, and that also has RV parks, campgrounds, rest areas, Walmarts, and then of course the truck stops and anywhere. And the good part about that is that it can be used in the US and Canada and Mexico. So there's an extra level of comfort there. And continued on this page, these are not currently available in mobile apps, but they are two resources that we use frequently on our travels. Of course, I've talked about the Xscapers maps, where you can find our Xscapers discount parks where you can save your 15 to 50% off your stay. And then it also has your commercial members. If you need services while you're on the road, you can find jobs that are uploaded into our job board, and the overnight parking with skips. And then, and of course, that's free to use. You can visit it by going to xscapers.com/maps. And then we also have campground views. I've recently really fell in love with this website. It's pretty cool. It's got over 15,000 campgrounds and RV parks. One of my favorite things is being able to search the park on there that you want to visit or view what's in the area. And some of them, they have currently over 2,000 parks participating in this right now. But you can actually get a visual view of where you're going. So you can kind of be taken through the campground and actually see what the park looks like and where you're going to be parked. So I've really enjoyed using that when it's available for where I'm going. And that website is fully mobile friendly, so you shouldn't have a problem using that on your phone while you're going down the road. Okay, and so we have next the traffic and weather apps. These I use constantly all the time. The Waze app is just, I have no words for how great it is. When we get stuck in traffic jams, we're on the highway, it can become really frustrating because we don't know what's going on. And so you can quickly get on this app and you can create your own account, and it's kind of crowdsourced information. So if somebody's 2 miles ahead of you, you can see they've left a comment that says, oh, there's a severe accident, an 18-wheeler ran off the road. Here's how long we've been sitting here, so you can be prepared for what you can expect for your next couple miles down the road. And it also tells you how fast the traffic is moving, so you can see, am I going to be here for a couple hours? And then it also shows you the road, so you could find an alternate route if needed. And that's also free, so I highly, highly recommend getting that. And then what I use for weather, there's several weather apps out there, but I prefer the WeatherBug app, which is also free. And ever since I've used this, they've updated it quite a bit. So that's by far my favorite. And on this, you can view the weather forecast up to 10 days in advance. So what I like is if we know we're going to be headed out in the next week or so, I'll go ahead and check the weather for my next destination and be prepared for that. Like if I'm going to be driving into bad weather, I may reconsider staying at the location I'm at longer, or just being prepared for that to know what you're getting into. And one of my favorite things about that too is also getting the alerts. If there's severe weather in your location where you currently are, you'll get a little alert on your phone letting you know that. And that one's free also. And these resources we use for our internet and satellite needs. The Wi-Fi Finder, there's a couple different options for this. This is the one that we used on the Android store. I think it might be a different version on the Apple store, but it's free on both sides. They just might be a little different in their features. But this helps you find if you're going into town and you know you're going to need Wi-Fi, or you're looking for somewhere to work to get out of your RV or your campground. This is helpful to show you what's available around you, whether you have to pay for it or what's free. But typically I will use it to find like a free location where I can get set up on my computer and work for the day. And the satellite finder, this is kind of the same concept. It's free. I think there's two different ones again for Android and Apple, but if you search the satellite finder, you should get a couple different options there and you can review the ratings there. But this is helpful for those that have the satellite dishes that you set outside of your RV. It kind of reads the satellites, you point it up at the sky, and it tells you where you should set it and where you should point it. And we recently got it upgraded in our RV to where it's on the roof, so we don't have to deal with putting our little hopper outside anymore. So we haven't used this in a while, but it was very helpful when we did. And then we have the coverage app. This is by Two Steps and Beyond. You probably know of them. Technomadia, Chris and Shuri. They've created several little apps for RVers that are focused towards the needs of those out there on the road. So I highly recommend this if you're working and you know you're going to need good internet signal where you're going. You can easily check these maps out and see if you're going to have coverage. My favorite part about it is we have AT&T and Verizon internet service, because sometimes Verizon has great signal, sometimes AT&T has great signal. And this allows you to view those maps easily without having to go back and forth between all the websites. You can get all the information you need right in one app and view all 4 carriers. So I found that this saves a lot of time, and it's really helpful, especially when we know we're going to have meetings all next week and we're moving to a new destination. It just takes a lot of stress off of that whole process, knowing that you're taken care of and connected. And the app is made by people who specialize in internet for RVers, so you know it's going to be a great resource. And that one is $2.99. Okay, and next we have our social apps. I will start with RVillage. They recently launched their mobile application. You've probably heard of their website before. I recommend getting the app because it makes life on the road so much easier if you're going to utilize that website and you want to meet others around you in your campground. This app makes it easy to do so. It's totally mobile friendly, allows you to check in, see who's around you, create socials. You could also view their maps. So that's free, and all you have to have is an RVillage account to be able to get all those features. The next one, these next two are kind of obvious. Sometimes we have people that don't know the full capabilities of what's out there within the groups for other people on the road. So Facebook, I'll try to go over these quickly since you're pretty familiar with the platform. It's more so to educate you of the other groups that are out there that can help you find other like-minded RVers while you're on the road. For example, we have the Xscapers group page where you can meet and talk with and chat and create a little community with others in your community. The Full-Time Families group page, they have over 15,000 people on there, so it's a great way to meet other people. And then we have our Escapee Friends group. So chances are, if you're a part of another club or membership, that they're going to have some way for you to connect on Facebook. And the same goes for Instagram. It's a really fun way to share your stories and your travels and your pictures with other RVers. We've actually met quite a few people on there, and that turned into real life friendships. When we first got our Airstream, I think I maybe used one hashtag Airstream, and I instantly had like 20 other people that found my picture and that happened to be in the same area, and we ended up meeting up. So it's a good way to meet specific audiences that you're looking for, or just share your story with others around you that may not be RVing. And next we have food, gas, and things to do. I kind of lumped these all together, but these are by far my favorite apps for finding things to do. iExit is pretty cool. It's $2.99. And while you're going down the road, it allows you not to have to rely on those, I think they're blue little signs that have the food that's coming up, the gas stations and stuff like that. So you can, if you know, oh, lunchtime's coming up, I'm getting kind of hungry, I wonder what there is up the road, you can use that and kind of be prepared and know when you're going to stop. And that one is $2.99. And then there's Yelp. This one's free. You've probably heard of it, but I found it pretty handy while we're on the road to find local eateries and stuff, and you're able to kind of see pictures of people's food that they've eaten there, get reviews, see the menu. It just saves us personally time when we're looking for new things to try and kind of want to get involved in the local scene. And then there's Gas Buddy, which is free. I'm sure you've heard of this one too. It's really, what we like about it now is that we recently upgraded to a Class A diesel pusher. So being able to compare the diesel prices while we're on the road is nice. And you can search that by city, state, zip code. So you can, if you know you're going to be stopping in a city up the road, you can be prepared for that too and see where you're going to stop, know exactly how you're going to get there. And it takes that little extra factor for you. And those prices are updated in real time. So you're pretty much always guaranteed you're going to see the actual price of what the gas is going to be when you pull up. And continued on the same topic, All Trails. I've recently discovered this and I highly recommend it if you're a hiker. It's free. And you get to, we are always, especially when we're in a new state or a new destination, we're always looking for where we're going to go hiking because we're really outdoors. We like to get our kids out, explore new things. So this will help you find trails that are near you. You can see how long they're going to be, what the elevation is. You can see pictures and reviews from people that have actually hiked it before. So we really enjoy it. And again, if you hike, I definitely would check it out. And then next we have the Roadside America app. It's $2.99. This one's kind of a fun one because it's shows you the quirky destinations that you might miss otherwise. Like I think they advertise as their main one as the largest twine ball. So it's kind of those little roadside attractions that you might miss if you don't have this app. And it's a fun way to take a break while you're traveling down the highway and get your family out and discover something new. And that one's $2.99, but I think it's well worth the money just because it's a lot of fun. And then we're on our miscellaneous apps, State Lines. This is again by Two Steps and Beyond from Technomadia. And this app is, we get a lot of questions all the time, like when I'm traveling through state lines, what are the laws for handguns? What are the laws for alcohol? They vary so much state to state. So this is really helpful, especially for people who are constantly going to new states. So it'll give you some of the examples they have are the towing and RV specific laws, phone and texting bans, gas and diesel taxes. So, and that's just a few. If you check out that app, they have a lot of resources on there that are helpful in case you have those questions while you're traveling. And that one is $4.99. And then next we have the Sanidumps. It's $2.99. This is really helpful for those that do a lot of boondocking. Like if you're going to be on a BLM land for 14 days, or you just need, you're going to need to dump and you're not staying in a campground and you don't have access to those facilities. This is helpful to see what is around you, how much it's going to cost, and it helps you just quickly identify those locations. And all of these should be available on the Android and Apple Store. Continued keyring. This is one of my little quirky fun ones that I really enjoy. It's free, and I quickly found that once we started RVing, when you start getting multiple states away from where you may have launched from, you realize quickly that there's so many different grocery stores out there. There's like Bonds, there's Publix, all these ones, Winn-Dixie, all these loyalty card where they save you money while you're grocery shopping. And so every time we go, I'm like, oh, well, I might be back. I don't know what the next state's going to have. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up for the loyalty card. And then they either filled up my keychain or my wallet, and I was kind of putting them to the side. And then I'd arrive at the next city and go to the store, and I'm like, oh, I know I have one, but it's at my house. So darn. This is a way you can collect these on your phone and actually scan it using your phone while you're at the store. That way you don't have to worry about carrying around those little pesky cards. So it's just a fun little thing if you know that you go to a lot of different grocery stores like we do. And then Untappd. This one's also another fun, quirky one. If you like craft beer, this is a great way to indulge in the local craft breweries if you know you're going to a place where you're going to go out and check out the nightlife. You can use it to find the bars that are around you, what type of beers they have. A lot of people will rate and review what they've had, so you can kind of get a feel for what the best places are and maybe what the locals are checking out where you're going. And that one's free. And then another Miscellaneous continued. I have this one, the Mile IQ app. It's free, so it's worth checking out if you think you might need to track your mileage for any reason. Some people, while they're on the road, they're traveling to business destinations, so it's helpful to keep track of that for their tax or business purposes if they're going to need to show how much they traveled and how many miles they put out. And really, it's also fun, kind of, if you don't need it for business purposes, just to kind of track how much you traveled in the year or the month. So it's helpful for that too. And then we have iRecycle. This one's free also. And they've recently updated this last year. It used to kind of be falling behind a little bit, so I always hesitated to share it with people. But they did do an update. It's a lot more clean looking. They have updated their resources, added a bunch more. And this helps you find the recycling opportunities around you if that's something that's important to you. And it'll give you information about the facility, what they accept, their contact information, address, their business hours. So it's really helpful if you know you're going to want to recycle on the road. That way it takes the guesswork out and you can just easily find those locations. Well, that was it. A couple other things I wanted to mention that I didn't have in our slides. One resource that I thought was worth mentioning, that's also, I don't believe it's an app yet, it wasn't last time I checked, is Campendium for a parking resource. This website was created by our full-time RVers, and it caters to RVers that are out there, and it also allows everybody to crowdsource their experience at campgrounds that they've stayed at, whether it's free camping, campgrounds, RV parks. It's just a really great resource because they've really built up a rep with the RV community. So there's a lot of people participating, and you can get some great information on there. They also have the ability to check out the Wi-Fi or the internet signal, and people that are putting the reviews in can say, oh, I have Verizon and I had 3 out of 4 or 5 LTE bars, which is helpful. And then if you're looking for a budgeting app, I thought I might mention that the Mint app is pretty helpful for that. If you're trying to track what you're spending while you're on the road, and seeing what your monthly costs are there. And then, of course, one I can't not mention is Road Trippers. They have a really helpful app that helps you find either campgrounds, things to do. You can plan your route and go to multiple destinations and decide if you want to stop at things along the way. So that's another helpful one. But other than that, I think that concludes what I had for you guys. I hope that I was able to share a new one with you if you already utilize them. And if you have any suggestions for apps that maybe I didn't mention and that you find really helpful when you're on the road, please do send that to us at resources@xscapers.com. We're always looking to expand this resource and help those that are looking to hit the road or already on there.
So do you have, do you know, for example, Melanie was one of the ones you mentioned, the ones that you have to pay for, are they a one-time fee? Is there a monthly or any kind of renewal type thing you have to go through with them?
For everything that I've mentioned, they're all one-time fees. And if whatever store you buy it on, whether it's Apple or I guess it's the iOS store or the Google Play Store, which is Android devices, that will be stored on your account for the entirety that you're going to use that platform. So like if I were to upgrade my iPhone, I log into my iTunes account and then it automatically stores what I've purchased. So I can just easily re-download that without paying.
Okay, awesome. Sarah had another question, but I can answer this. You asked about a webinar on Instagram and how to use it and get the most out of it. That is definitely in the lineup coming. We don't have a schedule for it yet. We are working on that. She also suggested the app Go Pet Friendly for people who travel with their pets, some places to, I guess it helps with finding like dog parks. I've heard of it before from other people too. It helps with finding dog parks or dog friendly places to go, that sort of thing. Mary asked, how many apps do you have on your phone, Melanie? Because if you think about it, how many you've talked about, that does take up a lot of memory.
I just upgraded to an iPhone 7, so I go a little overboard because I know I have the space. But when I did have, I think I recently had a 32 gigabyte, so I did have to watch, and I would kind of pick the ones that I know I was going to use. Allstays was always on my phone. I would say total right now, I probably have at least 50, but I also have a 5-year-old who loves to take my phone. So some of those are games. But as far as travel resources, I probably keep about 20 at a time on there. And if I'm looking to downsize my space, I just kind of go through them and say, am I utilizing this on a constant basis? And then if I do delete it, I know I can get it back without having to pay for it again, because again, it's stored on my iTunes account. So yeah, if I'm looking to downsize space, I just pick the ones that I frequently use.
Okay. A couple other suggestions to add in while we're chatting. So Sarah suggested Prism, Prism, as another app to keep track of when bills are due. Linda also suggested free overnight parking. She thinks it's about $25 a year. And I have seen that before too, that's a pretty great app. And you can also go to their website and use it there. Yeah. She also asked, do you have any suggestions on apps to help map out travel? It sounds like maybe for tracking where you've been and where you're going.
Road Trippers for mapping out the travel. Road Trippers is good for that. Because you can store the trip that you've created. You can either do it on their app or their website. I tend to lean towards creating that on the website, kind of mapping out where I'm going, setting new destinations, figuring out if I need to stop somewhere along the way, and then I save it to my account that I've created on there, and then I can pull that up on Road Trippers on my phone and easily access it.
Makes sense. So there were a couple of questions about, so Casey asked about the budget app. That was Mint, right? Mint?
Yes. And there's several of these. So I would suggest just kind of poking around. Most of them are free. So you have the chance to download them and see what they're all about and if it works for your needs and if you're comfortable with it. If not, try another one. So there's a lot of options out there, but Mint is one that I suggest.
Oh yeah. I've used that one too. I like it as well. Let's see. So Sarah asked, and it's been a little bit now, sorry, the last resource that you mentioned in your presentation, do you recall which one that was? It was about, it was RV Traveler or something like that?
I think it might have been Road Trippers. The ones that I talked about that weren't actually on the slides, the last one on the slides was iRecycle. And then the ones that I didn't mention were, or that I didn't put the picture of, was Campinium, and that's website based, but it's a very great resource. I mentioned Mint, I mentioned Road Trippers. Yeah, I think that was the last one. It might have been Road Trippers that she was thinking of.
Okay. There's a few other app suggestions that have popped up in the last few minutes. For example, RV Park Reviews was really good for finding out about places before you land, as well as Sarah suggested AAA for route planning as well. Mm-hmm. Mike asked, are there any medical location type apps that you know of?
Not that I know of. That's a good thing to check into, though. I will look into that, and then I can always upload. Most of these apps are available on our website. If you log in, I think it's on the top menu bar under resources. There's a mobile app section, and it's been a while since I've updated the new logos and stuff that have come from the apps. And there's a couple that I added for this presentation that aren't on there. But I will look into that, and if I can find something valuable that will help people on the road, I'll definitely get it added there.
Awesome. Let's see. Do you know of anything, the Sanidump one you suggested might be a good one for this, but John asked, do you know of any resources to find a place where you can dispose of garbage that is not recyclable?
No, I don't. No, not trash specific, but I'm guessing there's something out there that I can probably do some research on. That's a good suggestion.
From talking with other RVers, especially when we've been docking somewhere, a lot of the times the places that will take dumps, like the dump stations, also do have some kind of dumpster available for trash. It may not be large quantities of trash. If it's just a bag or two from your RV, they typically have space to accommodate you for that. Not all of them will, of course, but a lot of them do.
Yes.
See, Linda suggested First Aid by American Red Cross is a good medical app.
Okay.
And then someone else asked or suggested as a boondocker, freecampsites.net is a go-to for them. Mm-hmm. Sarah asked about reciprocal toll roads. For example, like I know as you travel around Texas, if you see Texas toll roads, text tag is used on almost all of them, even if it's not one of the logos that's displayed. Do you know if there's an app for when you're traveling through other states or between states?
I want to say that this question was actually just asked in our group page on Xscapers, and I want to say that just Google Maps was recommended. If you're putting in your route, it'll alert you of tolls on there. So I think that was the consensus, was to use Google Maps, set your destination where you're going, and then open up the route information, and it'll tell you if you're going to be upcoming on a toll road. And you can do that beforehand too, which would be helpful.
Do you happen to know from that if, I think what she's asking is like for reciprocal things where like even if a certain company owns that toll road, they will allow people with this other toll tag to come through because they have a relationship where they can just charge that tag. Is that something from, like, does it tell you on Google when it pops up if you can see which tolls?
I don't think it would have that information, and I'm not sure if there's something out there that would have that shared data. Yeah.
Okay, well, a question I have for you actually is, so you listed a lot of apps here. How did you learn about the apps that have become your favorite? How did you find them?
Kind of trial and error, I guess. I've been using them since we got on the road. A lot of them, like Allstays, has been on my phone for a good 5 years since we've been traveling. So it's kind of, I know I hold this session at some of our convergences, and I've kind of collected data from other people. And then from there, I would test them out myself to make sure that I felt that they were reliable enough. So yeah, it's been a lot of testing there. I've downloaded probably hundreds that I have ended up not feeling like they were very useful and deleting them. So these are just ones that we actually do use when we're on the road. So they're my favorite, and I might be a little biased, but I feel like these are frequent ones that a lot of people talk about also.
Tim just suggested actually the Copilot app, that it's a mapping app that allows you to insert the height of your rig to determine if you can get under a bridge or that sort of thing. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, that is helpful.
And there's a question asking about if you know of any good apps for DirecTV pointing.
DirecTV pointing for your satellite, that would probably is what you could use with the satellite finder. If it's on your RV, you could probably still just stand outside and point it to see where the satellites are and see where you need to actually face it, if you're able to adjust that. Same for the standalone ones that you set up outside of your RV.
Okay. All right, well, it looks like so far that's about all we have for questions. Something to keep in mind for you guys that are viewing, if you do decide you want to use our RVillage app, Xscapers has, we have our own group on there, as well as our Xscapers group, which is a subgroup of Xscapers members that are more the working age RVers. You can connect with other RVers through RVillage that way, both within Xscapers Club, and of course, if you belong to FMCA or Good Sam or any of those other ones, they also have their own groups. And there's all kinds of special interest groups if you like to write or you like to do photography. There's all kinds of groups on there for that too. So for those of you who maybe are having trouble finding people to connect with along the way, RVillage is a great way to go about doing that. And yeah, and actually somebody's popped up on here. Mike suggested Dish Pointer Pro as a great app for satellite pointer. That's good to know.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, Melanie. Thank you so much for the time you took putting this together. And for those of you that are Xscapers members, give her a couple of days, I think, and because we're all getting ready to take off to Tucson soon. We'll get that information updated on the member side of the Xscapers website, so you can also see all these apps there in a list form if you'd like.
That actually just reminded me real quick. I want to add, you said Escapade. We just finalized and we're super excited to launch our event app at this Escapade. So if you're going to be joining us for that, I can't wait to share that with you because it's going to be very, very helpful.
Oh, yes.
I had to because we're speaking about apps.
Oh, of course. And I got to look at it today, and I completely agree that it is awesome. I'm so excited. Even I'm attending as well. I'm excited to go and plan out my schedule and all of that. Well, for everybody who registered, you're going to receive a follow-up email in the next couple of days that has a link to this replay where you can watch the webinar in its entirety in case you came in late or had to leave early. And that way you can share it with your friends or whomever else, and anybody can take a look at it afterwards. Also, whenever you registered, you received a confirmation email, and that has a survey at the bottom. And if you guys will take a few minutes whenever you get a chance and let us know what you thought, and if you have any suggestions for future webinars, I'm happy to hear them. That way we can make this program even better for you. All right, well, have a great evening, guys. I'll see you next time.
Bye.